can go in there. Make sure we don't get locked in. I'm sorry.
All the writing is in Hebrew, so we cannot actually translate. I don't know Hebrew.
There's a monument over there.
It's me, buddy. How you doing, champ?
Dedicated with love and respect. This monument, previously 20 years ago, made of artificial material cast in bronze. Thank you to the donors, Sonora and John, and his children's. Let's go that way. So guys, this is one of the largest Jewish cemeteries in Europe. I was just thinking that, Devon. Wow. Here, Dad. I'll let you man this one. I'm gonna take some video on the GoPro.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the biggest Jewish cemetery in Warsaw.
In Europe.
In Europe. Yeah. Excuse me. Mostly the most Jewish population was in Poland, and that's what happened, you know, and especially in Warsaw. It was a very big population. And anybody who knows the history, the Germans, well, you can call them Nazis, but Nazi was the Germans who round them up and sent them to concentration camp, and only few survive. Yeah.
very, very much so.
Yeah. I just wish the Jewish people would be more friendly to the Polish people because we suffer the same way. Either Jewish or Polish people suffer during the war the most casualty from the Germans. And in a way, I don't know who make the big propaganda. It comes like from Jewish, but I don't think coming from exactly from Jewish. It might be somebody behind.
The Germans did the propaganda.
Right, right.
Propaganda. They dehumanize people, and then similar to what we're seeing today with even like the virus, how everyone's blaming the unvaxxed for spreading everything. When if you're vaxxed, you can also still spread COVID, but the propaganda that the Germans came up with, they were blaming sicknesses coming from Jewish people. So they were trying to dehumanize people, which is very much what we were seeing happening today. So once you dehumanize it, in the mind, like for people, it justifies violent action towards them. So, if we don't stand up against what's going on, history is going to repeat itself.
Right. So what's happening now? That the Germans still using the same tactics to put in a problem between Jewish and Polish people now, in a way that they try to blame Poland for the concentration camps, calling that they are.
In this rumor, I forget what article it was I saw, but they said, "Oh, the Polish concentration camps." No, that was German Nazi concentration camps in occupied Poland, but they call them Polish concentration camps. That's not
Yeah, and now the new government, they did that it's illegal to use words like a Polish concentration camp because that's actually the and everybody knows that it's German concentration camp located in Poland and makes a difference. I mean, who doesn't know the history probably it believes, in this. Sometimes I heard even when I'm in America, well, where they located? In Poland. Okay, so that's been they are Polish concentration camp, which is not true. They are German concentration camp located in Poland. So I hope the Jewish people today they have a little bit more sympathy, towards Polish people too, because we have big sympathy for the Jewish people, and we kind of, with the respect, would like to get the same from Jewish people.
You have to look up the monuments later to understand what they symbolize.
So we came with Tara to Warsaw, and she encouraged me to come with her to the cemetery to check out on what it looks like, the Jewish, if you see it, there is a mix, actually, Hebrew and Polish, and most of them actually died during the war.
I went to Israel, I went to Jerusalem, and I visited the grave of Schindler, and so he's the only Nazi member of the Nazi Party to be buried in Israel.
Yeah. As you know, a lot of Jewish people, they carry the Polish name, and like here, there is Bogdan Yakov Kropidłowski, which is a Polish name. Okay, but if he's buried here, that means he was Jewish. And this is in Hebrew.
Warsaw has has at the time had the largest population of European Jewish living in Poland, in Warsaw, and that's why you have the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II. They had between 400 and 500,000 Polish Jews that were living in Warsaw, and that's why Hitler created the largest encampment, like enclosed area of Jewish quarters, the Warsaw Ghetto.
Right. Well, the German was very smart. You know, they hired the Jewish people to watch for the Jewish. Okay, it was Jewish police. Okay, mostly they didn't know.
They turned neighbor against neighbor.
Right. Mostly the Jewish people didn't know that when they getting round up, they thought that they gonna be relocated, but they put them in a train, you know, and send them to concentration camp. So whenever they're gonna tell you different story than it is, okay, you basically you can either check it out on your own about the history of Jewish people in Poland, or
Not to wonder like what they're teaching in the schools, because actually there was this one person who has a master's degree in history that was arguing with me online about saying that, oh, Poland started the war. And actually it was a New York Times article. It was the New York Times that posted propaganda saying, and the German people believed that Poland had been the aggressors to start to attack Germany, and that was the justification for Germany then to counterattack Poland. And then that was written in the New York Times even, by, I think the guy who even wrote that in the New York Times got a Pulitzer Prize for his writing for that. But that's the type of propaganda that they had going on back then, was just propaganda. I'm sure that is going on now. But so this master of history person was arguing with me about, oh, your people started the war, World War II. I'm like, are you kidding me? But this is a graduate degree person with a history major is telling me that Poland is the one who attacked Germany to start the war. So that's how crazy a lot of these schools are.
yeah, even those Antifa's guy who attacked Tara in New York, they start screaming, you know, she's a Polish, she's a Nazi. Well, something went wrong because Polish people, they wasn't Nazis, okay? Of course, there was some Polish German who sometimes feel more probably more German than the Polish people, and we don't know exactly, you know, but there is always, you know, misunderstanding in the history.
And you know, of course, like with any group, there's going to be bad people in that group. Like Dad was saying how that the German Nazis were using Jewish people to then round up other Jewish people, and then so of course there are going to be some Polish people that were then on the side of the Nazis and everything for whatever reason, if they're trying to survive or they're, you know, twisted and evil and everything. But that's, you know, that's the manipulation, to be turning neighbor against neighbor.
Right. And even now we have a lot of, you know, people even in Congress, you know, who misleading the Polish people about the history, and you know, but Polish Congress, yeah, which actually we call, yeah, Polish Congress, which is we call same, but is similar to American Congress.
Hold this up.
Is it going again?
No, you can. There you go. I think that's a beautiful grave. And you can see This one over here has a hand.
This is Irena Kaganowicz z domu Fiut. She was the prisoner of Auschwitz.
Oh, here?
No, this one here. Okay. And it's written actually in Polish. You know, that's from her husband.
A prisoner in Auschwitz?
Yeah, she was the prisoner of Auschwitz, but she died so she survived the Auschwitz because she died in 1988. Yeah. So basically, what Polish American Brotherhood wants to show you that we want to be a friend with Jewish people. We feel sympathy. We suffer the same way, and you know, the Jewish people also have to understand that we are not enemies. We are friends.
Tito from Vegas, thank you for the super chat. There you go. I really like cemeteries. I think it's rooted in history. They're spiritual places. There's a different type of energy that you'll feel, a sereneness, of course, peace. Oh, this is a very beautiful cemetery, and like, wow. Let's make sure we don't get lost, Dad. This is one of the largest, so we want to make sure we don't get lost. Yeah. Ah.
Well,
John Wolfe just said, what I learned, the Germans sent troops over the border into Poland. They disguised themselves as Poles and attacked Germany. This was done on purpose to make it look like Poland attacked first.
well, this cemetery is the history, okay, and I think the Jewish from United States should send some money to renovate this cemetery.
Yeah, you can tell in a sense like these must be a lot older than in the front
Yeah.
over there.
We could probably straighten out everything, so you know, would be nice, you know, because there is a lot of those monuments, you know, laying down,
Yeah,
and nobody cutting the grass here.
yeah. This
So,
area is
We
more
appeal
unkempt.
to the Jewish community in United States, you know, that we can do something about, you know, to clean up this place.
Yeah, because this is one of the largest Jewish cemeteries in all of Europe. So this patch that we're passing through, you can tell that it's a lot older and unkept because, yeah, as my dad pointed out, the grass is not cut, and then the tombstones are all falling over here. I wonder, and I'll do my research more on this cemetery later. Dad's doing some GoPro footage for me, so that way I'll do a voiceover that's more, you know, you guys get something more out of that. But when I go live, like you guys kind of just see from a point of view what I'm seeing at the same time. Gottfried, yeah, the first two, I remember learning that too. The first 2 years were the first 2 years were Polish in Auschwitz, and then the first Jewish victims came to Auschwitz, started in 1941. You know what they say though, like history is written by the victor. So that's why it's important, the fight that's going on these days today, because, you know, I hope the record gets set straight on January 6th, for instance, that it's not an insurrection. And the people who are political prisoners, that they receive vindication, because how they've been treated, and the rule of law to not be applied So for the rule of law to not be applied consistently and fairly, you could see like with all the BLM riots that happened last year, how many were actually, you know, arrested and charged and convicted, or if charges were to even stick, versus like the 600 plus from J6 that are facing charges or you know, being put in jail without bond and everything. Like when you have an inconsistent application of the law, that's when the laws become just tools to be manipulated by those who are in power, the government and the state. They use the law to then persecute their enemies. And you know, if a law is a law, that's in a sense fine, but it needs to be applied fairly. Otherwise, yeah, it's just tools of the state to be persecuting who their political adversaries are. Hey, Annie girl. So what's good is like when we first got here, the sign at the front says like closed at 4, but online it says 5 o'clock. So I was like, oh, I guess we missed the entrance to coming in. And Dad kind of stood by the door a little bit, and he saw like people kind of still going out. So he just like opened the door and we just walked in. Yeah. When we forget history, we will repeat it again. Exactly. I'm like, even in terms of like socialism and communism, like it's been already proven that it doesn't work, but yet we're implementing those aspects into our society, into our government. That, I mean, if something's already been proven to not work, why do we keep repeating it? So Dad has a little bit of cold, not COVID.
This is kinda
So that's why he's coughing.
brand new,
Oh, this is new.
little gold there.
Look how beautiful.
It's like a husband and wife. Recently, the
Oh, so I want to point out, guys, that you see stones that are on top of the graves. This is a Jewish tradition to be putting stones on top of the graves. And the first time I became aware of that was when I saw the movie Schindler's List, and at the end of the movie, they actually had the people that Schindler had saved in his factory. Like true in the film, they came and they placed the stones on top of Schindler's grave over in his burial site over in Jerusalem. So you'll see over here stones placed over the grave. Watch your step over here, Dad.
some of the graveyards are
This is
kind of
newer.
new ones.
Yeah,
so
this is
that's
newer.
been there is still a lot of Jewish people living in Poland. But I guess they cannot afford to clean up this cemetery, so maybe they should ask American community to spend some money on the museum here. That's actually museum for the Jewish people.
up around the hill. Let's go over this way. Annie girl, my husband and I had our first date in a graveyard. Wow. That's actually my type of date. There's a cemetery over in New York that is absolutely beautiful. It's in Brooklyn and overlooks Manhattan. I'm like, oh, it's the perfect view. Like in death, you get a view of Manhattan. Should we go that way or probably start making our way towards the front?
Yeah, this way.
I don't think we want to get locked in here. No, if you guys get locked in, you guys will keep us company, right? Until this battery dies. And our flashlights go out, right? I like how this tree stump goes over. That's beautiful. The colors are starting to change of the leaves too for fall time. I mean, it's chilly already, but pretty soon all this green will turn out beautiful fall colors. You can see it a little bit turning. But so when I was in Germany, actually, I think it was in Frankfurt, or my friend took me to a town that is close to Frankfurt. There's a monument there and he explained to me the monument is to serve as a reminder that the Germans are the ones who started the war. Versus when I was I went to Hiroshima a couple years back, and I was visiting my friend who is on a military base over in Iwakuni. And then so he was telling me that there was a monument over in Hiroshima in the Peace Park that symbolized that for no reason America came and dropped the bombs over in Hiroshima, and that Japan was completely innocent. So the military, American military, had them like set the record straight that no, America didn't just randomly bomb Hiroshima.
Now, if it comes to the history, I have to remind you that when the German attacked Poland, 3 weeks later, from the east, the Russian attacked Poland. They divide Poland 50-50. And now, not only the German blaming for Poland for starting the war, but also Mr. Putin mentioned that the Poland, So I don't know what's going on with those two big countries which have also the power. I guess, if you have the power, you can say anything you want it, So.
But if you look throughout history, yes, we have a memory of modern history with the war, but Poland has constantly been invaded. I mean, it has no natural barriers is one thing, right? It's been wiped off the map a couple times.
Well, actually, the German, Austrian, and Russian, they wipe out the Poland for 120 years. And kind of, I wonder, how did we survive, I mean, we couldn't speak Polish.
The Polish, they took out the language away?
Well, when they occupy, you had to speak in a school the language where was the occupation, There was not you could freely learn Polish in those schools, When the Russian occupied, you had to speak Russian.
Yeah, it's true. I have a cough drop, Dad.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a little cough. But
you're gonna scare everybody.
Fresh, a lot of trees on the cemetery. I think we're gonna have to go to the right side because there's the tent here.
Oh, there's a tent entrance?
You have to go over there.
Okay. Well, let me see this one mausoleum. No, the pathway's right here, Dad.
There's a gate over there?
Look.
Yeah, but still in a wall.
That's where we came in from.
Oh, okay.
So of course the cemetery is much larger than what we showed you guys, but We're gonna start making our way to Old Town. Look at this. I think next time I come to Warsaw, and I'll have more chance to do research to find out who the notable Polish Jews that are buried here in this cemetery. And then there are some like points to see, monuments throughout, but of course it's so large we're not going to be able to cover that right now. Let me see what it says. A fighter in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising was killed in the first bombing of Warsaw in September 1939. Buried in this cemetery in a place unknown. Who fought at his side during the uprising in Warsaw Ghetto in the so-called the Brush Maker's Shop. The plaque is dedicated in the memory of our family, Freemer and Papier. Wow, the whole family. Nika Freemer, rest in peace, and her husband and their children who died in death camps. And their children and grandchildren murdered in the death camps of Auschwitz, Birkenau, and Majdanek. Well, here's a map. Oh, see, there's a lot of points to see. Graves of Meredith Jews. Historian, chief rabbi, airman, professor, writer, communist activist, Bund activist and doctor, factory owner, head of the school for rabbis, writer, banker, merchant, insurgent of the 1863 uprising. Hey, a journalist. Writer. Professor, surgeon, photographer, socialist activist. Soldiers who died in September 1939. Massive graves of those who died in the Warsaw Ghetto. Oh, so let's see. KW9. What part was that? Nine. Oh, okay. I think we're the front. So 9 as mass graves for those who died in the Warsaw Ghetto. Monument of the soldiers, monument of the children of ghetto, ghetto insurgents, activists, partisans, insurgents, women. See, tombstones of famous people such as Samuel Adelberg, are either destroyed or have not been found. Association of the Protection of Historical Monuments, Jewish Community of Warsaw. Oh, here we go. In the late 14th century, Jews came to Warsaw and settled in the old town between Szczepanski, Donaj, and Piekarska streets. In the years 1527 to 1795, Jews were not allowed to live in the city. It was not until mid-18th century that they began to settle in the suburbs in large numbers. In 1780, they founded a cemetery in Praga. The Warsaw community established its own cemetery in 1806 outside the city ramparts at what was the then Jesia Street, and now, so this is the current address here. From its founding until 1939, about 150,000 people were buried here. The cemetery covers an acre of 33 hectares and is one of the last Jewish cemeteries in Poland, which is still being used. This house of eternity, as the cemetery is often referred to in Hebrew, is a monument to the gravestone art of Jewish art and Jewish presence in Warsaw. Its value as a record of Polish Jews is incalculable because the material heritage of the Jewish community was almost totally destroyed during World War II. Among the gravestones, one can find traditional vertical slabs decorated with the wealth of ornaments and symbolic reliefs and covered by Hebrew inscriptions with beautifully carved letters. Visitors can also see splendid tombs which differ in design from the traditional style. The mausoleum of Sonnenberg with 2 bas reliefs is a masterpiece. Among the sculptors who made the tombs are Abraham Ostrowga, Felix Ruben Licht, Henryk Stiefelmann, Lubelski, and Tofkolowski Strefix. The styles of the tombstones and the contents of the epitaphs reflect the diversity of Warsaw's Jewish community. Among those buried are rabbis, Hasidic leaders of the secular movements like the assimilation movement, Zionism, and socialism, promoters of Hebrew, Yiddish writers, journalists and actors, people prominent in Polish life, industrialists, physicians, scientists, artists, publishers, philanthropists, and patrons of culture. Thousands of victims who lived in the ghetto established in Warsaw during World War II are buried in mass graves. On the occasion of the burial of a famous person, the funeral ceremonies were imposing with huge crowds in attendance. Such, for the example, was the funeral of Yiddish writer Peretz. Until World War II, the cemetery, which included a funeral house and synagogue, was taken care of by the Burial Society. Now the cemetery is owned by the Jewish community of Warsaw. In 1973, it was officially recognized as a historical monument. It is under the protection of Warsaw's Conservator's office. Since 1979, the appearance of the cemetery has improved thanks to the efforts of the community. Conservation has also been done by the Citizens Committee for the Protection of Jewish Cemeteries and Cultural Monuments in Poland, formed in 1981. The committee collects information about the cemetery's history and the location of the graves to replace, if only in part, the original archives which were destroyed during the war. Oh, good. The door's not locked. We didn't get locked in. So men must cover their heads at the cemetery. So I was telling Dad, good thing you have a hat. All right, guys. We're gonna make our way over to Old Town. So I'm gonna go live when we get there. It's about a half an hour walk, but I think we might take an Uber. So see what kind of mood Dad's in. But I'll go live from Old Town. So I'll catch you guys there, okay? Bye.